Morning. This is Brother Charles from Macedonia Baptist Church with the word of the day. You know, I crave things. I don't know about you, but I do. I love food. I crave Big Macs sometimes, or Quarter Pounders sometimes. I crave a good football game. I like good defensive struggles. I don't like blowouts. I want a game where it is a defensive struggle, and I crave that. I crave the weather that we're having right now when it's in the mid-70s and it's dry outside, it's not humid. Now, living in the South, doesn't happen that often, but that's what I crave. I crave time with my wife and my family. I crave that time. But there's been other things that I've craved in my past. I've craved sin. I've craved those things of lust and envy. I've craved those things that feed my flesh. You know, I got saved at a young age. I gave my life to the Lordship of Jesus Christ when I was 10 years old. But that doesn't mean that I didn't mess up. That doesn't mean that I didn't rebel or sin. I can remember about the age of 16 just kind of walking away from a lot of those things. I put on a face, and I put on the fancy t-shirts, and I put on the fancy attitude in high school. I was a hypocrite. Where I talked about God and I talked about Jesus, I really wasn't who I needed to be. Did I go to all the parties? No. Was I at church? Sometimes. But my sin, my cravings, were cravings and sins that people could hide. That you didn't have to talk to everybody about it, just a few simple ones, and the ones that knew what was going on. And so I walked around my high school acting as if I was just this big Christian person. In all reality, I was no better than anybody else. I'm still not any better than everybody else. I still fight the cravings every day that this old flesh wants me to crave. But in Jesus, I become something new. And so in October of 1989, at 10 years of age, when I gave my life to the Lordship of Jesus Christ, He made me something new. And I was having my Bible study today, and it comes out of 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse 2, and it says this: "So as to live the rest of the time in the flesh no longer for human passions, but for the will of God." Let me read that again. 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 2. "So as to live for the rest of the time in the flesh no longer for human passions, but for the will of God." If you're a child of God, you become something new. You've been said, live it for something else. So don't waste the rest of your time. Redeem your time and live for God.